All right. Hello, everyone. Happy Thursday and welcome to today's group live stream with myself, Greta Wall. I'm your host, but I'm joined by the leaders of Inner Circle, David Prince and Kira Turner. We're waiting on Rick March to hopefully show up soon, but we wanted to get started with this while we wait for him. The topic of today's discussion is Tesla and the Robotaxi event, and if it is a trap tonight. But first, I want to have a little bit of fun here before we start. Everyone who's with us live, let us know real quick where you're watching from. And there we have Rick. I'm going to put him on the stage here. Hello, Rick.
Hello.
Nice to see you. Hello. All right, so everyone let us know in the chat where you're watching from. If you're on YouTube, if you're on Twitter, if you're on StreamYard here with us, let us know in the chat. We like to see where everyone's coming from. I know Kira and David, you're both in Texas, right?
That's correct.
Right. That's where I am
and
right
then
now.
Rick, you're in
Chicago area.
Oh, right? All right. And then I'm in the San Diego area over in LA or California. So I'm in the same time zone as this late Robotaxi event that's coming up tonight. They're holding it at 7:30 p.m. Pacific time. So it's a late event for those on the East Coast. But I want to start off with a little bit of two truths and a lie. We're going to play a little game here with the Inner Circle, and everyone in the comments participate as well. We have people watching from Florida, San Francisco, Toronto, Wisconsin, Ponte Verde Beach, Florida, Irvine, California, my fellow Californians. So we have a wide range of people here. But here's how this works. I'm going to make three statements. One of them is a lie. Two of them, of course, truths. So you guys have to try to guess the lie. Cannot look it up. You have to guess on your own. And then whoever guesses first and is correct, you're the winner. And then those in the comments also, whoever guesses first in those comments, whatever I see first, you're the winner as well. All right, so which one of these is the lie? Tesla is up in 2024. Tesla's IPO was in 2010. Elon Musk had a cameo in Iron Man 2. All right, everyone who's with us, type the number of the lie in the chat and the Inner Circle. Kira, David, Rick, what is your guess?
Tesla's IPO was a little later than 2010. That's the lie.
Okay. Kira, what do you think?
I think that's number two is the lie as well.
Rick?
I'm thinking he wasn't in Iron Man 2.
Okay. In the comments, people, I'll give you a little more time to guess. Well, you're all wrong. The lie is Tesla is up in 2024. The Tesla is down still 3.1% year to date. We got one person in the chat. Rick Friedman, you are the champion today. Number one is
I hate these smart people. I told him today, he was on the chat, he said something. I said, you're in the wrong chat. Stop being smart. This guy's too smart for us.
Here's the proof. Here's a look at the chart. We're just down just 3%. I mean,
I knew it. You just turned green on the year recently, and I figured out it didn't go back enough, but I guess that was it.
It gave it up. It gave it up. Right. All right. So our champion, Crypto Eclipse, I see you. You were right, but our champion was Rick Friedman because he commented first. So Tesla is not up in 2024. The IPO, David, was in June of 2010.
That's funny. God, that's a long time. Date. I didn't think it was that far. I mean, that's a long time ago already.
Yeah, and it was, I think, it debuted at priced at like $17.
Kramer panned it, hated it. There's a great video of Elon on the street saying, he doesn't know what he's talking about, like laughing about it. But Kramer hated the IPO.
Yeah.
Clearly was a good buy.
Yeah. All right. So let's talk about the Robotaxi event that's happening in LA tonight. The automakers, of course, unveiling Robotaxis, or expecting, it's called We Robot. We all expect the Robotaxis. Those would be using full self-driving technology that's been developed by Tesla. Musk has previously said that this will be one of the most valuable things that's ever done in the history of civilization. And he's been talking about this idea for a long time, since 2019. Just a look at some of the comments that Musk has made through the years. 2019, he said next year for sure we'll have over 1 million on the road. In 2020, he said next year, but not in all markets, in some. 2021, I'm highly confident the car will drive itself for the reliability in excess of a human this year. In 2022, he said I'll be shocked if it's not this year. In 2023, I know I'm the boy who cried full self-driving, but I think will be better than human by the end of this year. And then this year in 2024, he said, obviously my predictions on this have been overly optimistic, but next year seems highly probable to Neat. So we've gotten a lot of hype from Elon, but no results yet. Other companies have done this already. Alphabet has Waymo that's mostly operating in San Francisco area. General Motors has their Cruise, but they have put drivers back on those because of some crashes. Waymo, they, though, drove nearly 1.2 million fully driverless miles last year in 2023. It's not a profitable endeavor, though, for either of those companies yet. And Tesla's system is different. Elon says it's superior. It uses only cameras, no radars, end-to-end AI learning, but possibility of some issues for regulators even after they unveil this. So for all of you, what do you guys think about the story of the Robotaxi heading into this event tonight?
I think the market's waiting to see what kind of story he gives us, really. I mean, is it the same thing again? Well, we're almost there. We'll have it next year. Or is it much better than that, where he's got some great story, he's ready to go, he's unveiling the lower price car that everybody's waiting for, and people get really excited? That could drive the stock higher. Otherwise, it could be a disappointment if it's kind of the same thing that we've heard a few times.
Yeah. I think this event does have the ability or the possibility to be a disappointment. Do you think, David?
Yeah, so the setup is that we have an individual who we know is an icon to many, and obviously compared to Thomas Edison, right? But the only maybe biggest drawback, some people might think it's politics, but his biggest drawback is he overpromises and underdelivers. So knowing that, you have to really think this time around, he actually has to impress us beyond what we expect. So I think what you want to look for is what can we expect and what would even be better than the basic expectation. So we know there's Robotaxi. Is it actually going to come, or are we going to be talking 26, 27, 28? Is there a lower price vehicle, which so many think is the most important part of the story beyond Robotaxi? And is all the data from Robotaxi, is it going to be so powerful that there's so many business models and verticals off all this data he's getting that people can then license, that it's something that we can kind of contemplate can change revenue and earnings over the next, say, 12 to 18 months. I think people need to feel that they can touch it and feel it and see it in the numbers in the not too distant future, or else it's more pie in the sky, wonderful stories. And not to offend, there's some people out there that love Tesla. I think a lot of them might be winners, but a lot of the people I know who are Tesla, I don't want to say fanatics, but are loyal Tesla investors, they still know, like, right now he needs to actually come through with something. And that means it has to be something you can quantify in a not 3, 4, 5 year time span, or the stock will maybe take a break. That said, one last part, as opposed to AMD today, to quote myself this morning at about 9:30, I said, Tesla might be an okay buy today into the event simply because it's 20, 25 off lows. Then it went down 30. And I said, oh, I kind of like this setup because it's much like earnings. Wherever it is pre the event, you can kind of gauge your upside opportunity. And the stock one point today was down 30 points off recent highs. And I thought that works. Versus AMD, some people ask me, they're like, should we buy calls? I said, I bought the stock like 16 points lower 2 weeks ago. The setup for Lisa is very hard. So my point is, he doesn't typically, Tesla's right at highs and everything's raging right before an event. There's not quite as much pressure. The stock, like you just said, is down on the year. So he has a little opening where if he just gives you real information you can quantify that would actually move the needle on numbers in not 3 years, but in the next year or so, and starts talking about robots and things like that, and doesn't talk about 2030, but says 2025, 6, 7, then maybe the stock can surprise people to the upside. But the pressure is on because he under delivers always on these events.
Do you feel like the hype of this is kind of similar to, Cybertruck and all the, we got the unveiling of the Cybertruck finally, but then it took so long to get the Cybertruck even on the road. And so then the hype was lost. Do you feel like this might be similar?
I do, and I'll tell you, David just hit it on the head that it's got to be monetized. It's got to show to the bottom line, or
Mhm.
once again, you're just smoking pot and hoping for the best. I think the man is brilliant. I think he's one of a kind current mind that we're experiencing in at least my lifetime. But you can't just make promises and not show stuff to the bottom line. You have to monetize, and he hasn't. The truck hasn't been monetized yet. The cars he's making and he's selling, but they're not. There's not a decent amount of margin there. And if he can't say that the robotaxis will be deployed in 30 of the biggest markets in the next year, then then so what?
Mhm.
One
Yeah.
thing I want to say that he has going for him, as
Mhm.
opposed to the Cybertruck, it's a much bigger tent, right? So, like,
Yeah.
out of fairness, there's one thing about this that is less hype. It's that the actual market is so much bigger than just a successful Cybertruck. But like Rick
Yeah.
said, he has to convey it in a way where people feel like it actually will mean something to their business beyond, wow, that's cool.
Mhm. Yeah.
Especially I'm sorry, but
No,
David,
you
you
keep going.
said something about the data, and that makes more sense to me than the actual use of the robotaxi itself. People
Mhm.
using it for shopping, people using it to take their kids to the doctor or what have you. That's, I think, we're
Some of the
all in
most
a data.
valuable
Yeah,
businesses in the world
exactly.
now are about data, right? So
Right,
Mhm.
exactly.
Yeah. A question from the comments from Billy. He asked, "Banana stocks is super bullish Tesla for 1 to 8 weeks. Why are you not swinging calls?" Genuine question. So talk
uh,
about your approach to the stock right now in front of
sure.
this.
I bought calls today.
You
They
did.
went up like 40%,
Hmm.
and there was a lot priced in, so I sold. So the first answer is, did he say banana, by the way?
He
Yeah, he
did.
said
Okay.
banana stocks.
So the first answer is that gentleman, John, is one of the brighter guys on the street, but just because he's in something he should know doesn't mean I'm in something and vice versa. But guy's a rock star and I'm a huge fan. So the answer is the way I play a Tesla is always risk reward. And there's some stocks I invest in, there's some stocks I trade in. Tesla, I'm more of a trader than an investor. And there are certain
Mhm.
times I'll swing it for weeks at a time. Today, as it's set up, I was a little bit lukewarm into the event because it was down 20 points recently. And then I have to tell you, stock plummeted intraday. And I actually heard Banana, because we trade similar. I heard he bought kind of the same thing I did, maybe a little different price. The point is, stock went down 8 points today, was 30 points off recent high. And I said, wow, now we have some meat on the bone into this event. And I think I'm going to take a shot here and buy some calls for the event. So we bought next week's 245s.
Yep.
I bought them as low as they went to like 6. I bought them at like 620 was my low. They got over 9 today. And I thought, this is pricing in a lot. When you buy options in front of an event, you're paying such IV. I thought, this is crazy. I just got lucky. And tomorrow, even if I'm right, they're going to take that premium out, right? Because they build premium into an event, and the minute the event's over, they take it out. So I actually got flat. That is the reason I am not long, because I got lucky today and made a good bit of money being long those calls. That's why I did it. Kieran Rick might still be long, honestly. I'm not sure.
I'm down to a trailer in those calls. The reason I
Mhm.
kept a couple is because they're for next week. So whatever comes out premium wise won't be as extensive it would be if you took the lottos for tomorrow. Uh,
Mhm.
but by the same token, I think it's a sell the news event. So I'm going to probably
Mhm.
sell stock tonight.
Mhm.
I've actually been an owner of Tesla a lot recently. I bought
Mhm.
above around 239 as it was headed up last time, and then sold most of my stock above 260, held onto a trailer, and the last few days it's been trading not well. Every time it runs up, it sells off. And I did do the calls that David did today, but when
You bought it like 2 Fridays ago at 237, 230. Yeah, the answer
Yeah.
to this person is we've been very long Tesla.
we
I'm
have,
so tired I forgot, but we've been very long Tesla for about 2 weeks.
yeah,
Mhm.
but today just seemed like we got that nice move up. I sold my stock earlier today before the sell off. We got that nice move up with the calls. We took the profit, and we'll see how the Robotaxi event goes tonight. and then decide if we want to get back in the stock or not, depending on how it's priced.
Let's take a look at what the stock's done since the August low, that August 5th low that, of course, wrecked all of tech for just a second. But you can see big old run up, and then the past 2, 3, 4, 5, it's like 7 sessions we've been on a downtrend heading into this event. Like you said, David, typically Tesla is a run way up into an event stock. This setup is looking a little bit different, but Rick says this is a sell the event time. Do you agree?
I'm really open-minded on this one. Usually I'm with him, meaning if it ran up, because it's 25 points or so off recent highs, or 23 points off recent highs, I'm willing to go both ways. If I had to bet, that sounded weird, but you get the idea. I bet 60% it sells 40% higher, but I'm open. What I'm looking for is if for some reason, right, Elon, let's face it, is a very bright man. So he is aware of maybe whatever shortfalls he's had in the past. He also, remember, he pushed this back. So maybe this time around, instead of under delivering, maybe he's going to over deliver. And if that's the case, and the stock's down 3% on the year and 20 points off recent highs, and we know 100 points off all-time highs, maybe there's some upside, and I'll buy the stock and I'll be just fine with it. I think what I thought of today is I made some money. I got lucky on options that really went up a lot more than I thought they would, and I have no edge. So I'm just kind of right down the middle, willing to do, whatever I have to do tomorrow. I don't feel like I have an edge either way. Typically, every time I should say this, I've thought in the past, oh, Elon's so bright. That last event was awful. Oh, he was stuttering, because Elon, being one of the brightest men in the world, has nothing to do with how he conveys things, right? A lot of people know he gets convoluted with words and doesn't make a lot of sense. And by the way, no one listening to this should think I don't think Elon's a genius or that I can speak better than him. He's just not the most perfect public speaker. And sometimes people get bored of it and they sell it. So I always think, oh, this time he's going to kill it, because he has that information, and now he's going to upload it in his brain, and he's going to convey this next event amazing. Sure enough, in all the years I'm trading the stock, that never happens. Earnings calls, he's, everything. He's never that fluid in how he speaks. So odds are against him, but I keep thinking one of these days he's going to blow our mind and over deliver. And God knows this is probably the biggest event they've ever had. So maybe this is it. I'm open-minded. Literally 60-40, but that means pretty much I have no clue what's going to happen, and I'm willing to adapt to whatever he tells me I need to do tomorrow.
Well, I think the market action is going to tell us more than anything of what we need to do tomorrow. But look at just the recent activity after the delivery announcement. It ran up to 260 pre-market, and you couldn't get anything near 260 or 251 for that matter once the market opened. Now we have the ability to trade pre-market, but it was at 260 really fast. I couldn't get short in the 260s at all. And I think that's what's going to happen tonight, is the hype will be there, and I hope it goes above 250, because to me that's a gift to get short.
A gift to get short. Kira, anything to add to those thoughts?
Not really, just that I will wait to see how the event goes and how the market responds to it. And if it looks extended on the upside, I might consider getting short. But if it sells off and we have a great spot to buy, I would buy it. I'll just wait and see. So I have no position now. I'm eager to hear what he has to say.
Rick,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I think Elon stole one of his girlfriends or one of his wives, so he just has a bone to pick with him. So he just wants this part.
No, I don't. It's just trading the levels.
Right.
Just, I'm 95% chart. So
Yep.
when I see something go up to 260 and hit a wall, well,
that wall's broken. That's your spot.
Right.
Yeah. You mentioned the delivery numbers. That's the latest data that we did get from Tesla. It was a miss on deliveries. Depends. The estimates were as high as 472,000 and as low as like 463, or so. Wide range, but the average kind of 469, 828 was the number that they were expecting, and it came in lower than that. This event comes 2 weeks ahead of earnings, which I think is interesting. We're getting earnings October 23rd. The focus there is, of course, on the profit margins, as those have been shrinking. What kind of wrench does this event throw in the mix for earnings in 2 weeks, having such a big event 13 days before we're supposed to get an earnings report also?
Feel like people are willing to separate the two. 2 weeks in this market can be the difference in 20 Q points, right? And this is such a big addressable market, and it's such a powerful part of the story for those that are loyal Tesla fans, that I think this comes front and center, and they'll worry about earnings in 2 weeks. That's kind of what I'm thinking. I don't think, if people love what he has to say, and if he says something, like I said, that you can quantify via numbers, I don't think people are going to be like, oh, I'm not going to take too much risk because of earnings, because it's all about the future, and earnings are going to be about the past. And yeah, the economy is holding up, and maybe inflation's a little hotter according to today than we'd like. So rates aren't going to be perfect, but the bottom line is rates are going down. That helps Tesla. Generally speaking, we are told that inflation will continue to be under control and we'll get additional rate cuts. So people who are concerned about buying the stock because of earnings, they're looking forward, and this event is all about, the future of the company. So to me, they'll worry about earnings in 2 weeks, a day or two before earnings.
Yeah. When it comes to Tesla, analysts aren't big fans of Tesla, or some, but the company overall has 12 sell ratings, which is the highest of any of the stocks in the Qs. And so 25% of all the ratings on Tesla are sells versus about 4% on, your average stock has about 4% of a sell rating. The average 12-month price target on the stock is around $209. You have a couple that are really high, but that's your average. And the current stock price is, of course, above that price target of 209 at 238.77 is where we close today. How analysts feel about this stock? Do any of you does that have any weight for any of you?
Not for me, because you have Dan Ives, who loves everything about it, and you have Gordon Johnson, who hates everything about it. So those two guys are on the extremes. And for me, I look at my charts, I look at the price action, and you see deliveries, and a lot of things have happened this past earnings season in tech, and David said it a lot. It's good, but not good enough. And that could very well be the case here with what he says. And if he can make the narrative change, great. If not, then it's a sell the news type thing.
My thought is, I'm not even making fun of analysts. The biggest problem with analysts is not that they're not good or not, it's that they're not price conscious, right? Like you have an analyst who Amazon goes up 50 and they had a buy, but not a strong buy, and they want to play catch up and not look bad. So the stock's 5 points off highs, and all of a sudden they go strong buy, and then it goes down 15. So there's about 5% out there that actually pay attention to price and tell a story based upon price and look at risk reward. I listen to those guys. I never make decisions via them, but I've had so many analysts that write these deep, long-winded research reports, and they come to me to ask which direction a stock's going. So no, I don't listen to 95% of them. What I think everyone should know is who the axe is, who can move a stock more than anything. Like who actually can downgrade a stock and means, oh, this is a problem, the way Katie Huberty used to be with Apple, that sort of thing. Or the way Adam, what's
Jonas.
his name? Adam, Jonas can move Tesla. Those are the things I look for. Like, who does the street care about? I'm still never going to listen to them to make my investment decisions, but I like to know who can move a stock one way or the other. Like if Gordon Johnson gets really, and by the way, Gordon Johnson, from what I understand, is awesome in solar. But if Gordon Johnson lowers his numbers on Tesla, 99% of the street doesn't care because he's had to sell on Tesla forever, like all the way up, right? So it's important to know what their history is and if they have anything to listen to be quite frank with you.
If Dan Ives got negative on Tesla, that would be something to pay attention to.
Rick, we got a question in the chat earlier, and I want you to talk about this because this is like your specialty. Brent wants to know if 270 is a fib extension on the stock.
Thank God he asked you.
Right? Well, Kira and I have talked about fib extensions a lot, and the answer is it's not exactly, because above 260, which never really printed because during the day, but 274.50 is going to be your fib extension.
Okay. All right. Explain just kind of quickly for people who might not know what a fib extension is.
You want me to do it for you, Rick?
Yeah, would you please?
We're joking. I have no clue how you come up with the fib.
The Fibonacci's are drawn from a pivot low to a pivot high. Now, the distance between those two pivots gives you wider distance between your the numbers in between. Fibonacci extensions are by definition 1.23 above the recent pivot high. So the recent pivot high, 260, 1.23 takes you to 274.
All right. Great.
There you go. David could have done that too. I don't know why he made me show
I
up.
couldn't have.
You know, Rick, last time you and I were together, you taught me how to do fibs. And
Oh, really?
first time
That's cool.
I've ever, in that coaching call that we did, he really showed all of us how to do it. And it was the first time I got it on fibs. So Rick's a great teacher. We're going to have a coaching
call.
Yeah, we're
Was
going to
it
have a
free?
coaching thing in in a little less than a month. So everyone keep your eyes out for that because
I'll be doing
Rick's a great
fibs on the
teacher.
fly.
Yeah, it's going to do on-the-fly chart analysis. It's really great. If you're part of Epic Trades, you'll get that. Also part of Inner Circle. And then David and I are doing something later this month that'll get you into that too. So everyone stick around and find out about that in the future here with T3 Live. Okay, back to Tesla real quick. The stock has a history of stock splits. We've had 2 so far. So remember, the IPO was back in 2010. We learned that in our two truths and a lie at the beginning here. And then in 2020, we had a 5-for-1 split. In 2022, we had a 3-for-1 split. The stock, of course, topping $1,000 when those happened. This feels really different now than the Tesla of 2020 and the Tesla of 2022. How has the dynamic of this name and this stock changed in the way it trades, the volatility we see, the huge price moves, et cetera? Has it become more like an automaker and less like a high growth, pie in the sky?
It's definitely not auto. Out of fairness, it's not close to automaker yet. It would be like a $60, $50 stock and trade much less volume.
Right.
But I'll make it really simple. My opinion, it's just no longer the hottest stock of Mag 7 that's a must own. There's some people that truly don't believe it should be valued any differently than a car company. And that took some of the spice off. And then there's a whole contingent out there, and they may very well be right, who think it is one of the best opportunities by far and away at this price in the stock market today, that the market is not giving them the credit they deserve for the market they're entering, whether it be robotaxis or robots themselves. And they think this is the steal of all century. I'm not even commenting they're wrong. I'm just simply saying it used to be, oh my God, if you want to die short Tesla, you can't short Tesla. There's less people scared to short it. It used to be, oh my God, valuation doesn't matter, so I'm not going to even try and short it or not be long it because valuation doesn't matter. Now all of a sudden people say valuation matters, especially with Tesla. So it has to prove itself, right? The stock price basically has told you the story, which is that, hey, interest rates went much higher. The consumer got soft, and they certainly didn't buy as many Teslas. They had some issues. They're not number one. Like in the US, they killed it. Turns out in China, they're not number one. They don't kill it the way, is it Boyd? I forget the name of it. The way so many, I think it's Boyd, but there's so many competitors. So the point is, sometimes these companies go through ebb and flows where they can do no wrong. No shorts want to touch it. It has a few openings now where, it's not perfect. China's not perfect. Interest rates aren't going down quick enough. Sometimes that's the opportunity. It's not a negative, but it's not being valued like an auto company, or else it would be under 100.
Anything to add, Rick, Kira? Like the dynamic of Tesla and what's different now?
It's not as much fun as it used to be.
Yeah.
I mean, it just isn't, because, looking again at the price action, you look at the chart and it will go sideways and up and down through the 8 and 10 day even, before it gives you a real move. So you don't want that in a trading vehicle. This is not Ford. This is not GM, and God knows it's not Stellantis. So production of cars to Ford and GM makes a difference. Sales in cars. This one, it doesn't, because they've got the battery, they've got so many other features. That's what's exciting about it. But the price action has made it very not exciting, not fun. Let's put it that way.
I agree. I mean, a lot of the volatility has been taken out of Tesla, and it's more of a tug back and forth between the people who think it's this wonderful buy and the people who think it's overvalued. And you can just see it in the stock price. It goes up, it goes down, it goes up, it goes down. There's just a lot of back and forth with buyers and sellers, and no clear direction. So that's when we get sideways trading.
Yeah, totally. Brianna David asked, Tesla in the 300 before 2025, are earnings or tonight more important?
I think tonight's more important, honestly. That would be my gut, because
so too.
it's so much about the future. Earnings are going to be about the past and some guidance on the future, which he's always a bit nebulous about, and he'll tell you it's about rates in the economy. I feel like what's presented tonight, the timeline, is far more important, because we're talking about a market that could, produce hundreds of millions of dollars in earnings down the road one day. So to me, definitely tonight rather than one quarter.
I know you said earlier, like, the timing of this report earnings doesn't necessarily matter for the play tomorrow with earnings coming up. But if he, gives the market some really solid timelines and numbers and stuff tonight, can tonight kind of be a pillow for some maybe bad earnings in 2 weeks?
I would say, yeah, absolutely. Where well said, where any pullback would be bought, because we have this pot of gold waiting and end of 2025, 26. Yeah, definitely. That's well said. If it's that powerful, then no one's going to care about one quarter, or maybe interest rates not going, we saw what happened since the Fed. We actually have rates going higher. So if all of a sudden that's an issue for a quarter or two, but everyone is talking about robotaxis and robots, and the fact that these things will exist next year, or at least in 2026, there'll be buyers on every deal.
Yeah. Other things that are rumored to be being revealed tonight, it's not just Robotaxi. The event name is We Robot. So there's a lot of talk that Tesla could be unveiling their humanoid robot, or, more info about
When I
their
keep saying
humanoid
robots,
robot.
that's what I mean. Like that. I mean, I think, tell me if I'm wrong. Doesn't he say that's by far the largest addressable market out of anything he's doing?
I think so. Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
I think it's pretty clear. So
yeah,
that's the stuff that I think could blow people's minds. If somehow he's like, I know you think this is 3 years away, but this is something I'm co-branding with this company, and you can expect to actually get your hands on it in January 2026. And all of a sudden you could have people say, whoa.
Yeah. So for everyone who might be just now joining us, that's been what the key of our discussion here has been. David has said, we need numbers, we need data, we need dates, we need a timeline versus just a pie in the sky. This is coming, we don't know when. So that's really, I think, the important thing for Elon to get out in the universe tonight for the market is some actual dates and timeline, stuff like that.
I think that you also, you brought up analysts before. Nothing against Dan. I love Dan. I love his dress code and all that good stuff. But people get sick of hearing the same guy touting the same story over and over. So if you have all these sell recommendations, you have to actually have them want to change their model, their numbers, and these are the type of events that do that, right? Because Dan himself can't be the only guy to be bullish on Tesla. I get it. We have other guys, but you follow what I mean. So I think this is what can actually make an analyst sit down and say, well, my 2026 numbers I'm taking up by 30%, and this is why. And that creates a change, right, in dynamics. So tonight's important.
A question from Mike, our guy Mike. He wants to know, is Tesla turning into an election play for Trump because of Elon's endorsement of Trump? And he's had a contentious relationship, of course, with the Biden administration. We all know what Elon does, of course, does impact the stock. It's not just about the cars.
here's,
So what are your thoughts?
I don't want to be monopolized, but I just really have like such a clear thought on this.
Yeah.
No, DJT clearly is that. However, there's not a lot of upside because Trump gets elected. Here's the thing. There's a lot of downside if he doesn't. That I believe. If you watch his latest interview, was it Tucker Carlson? Someone, I saw it on Twitter just a day ago, and he goes, can I curse on this? I don't know. Anyway, I'll just say he said I'm effed if Kamala wins. And I believe he has really maybe been aggressive enough and ostracized enough people on the left. And I'm not giving my opinions on politics. I'm just telling you, I think there's downside in the stock if Trump loses. I don't know if you build in a ton of upside just because he wins, but I do think there's some downside if he loses because I don't think he's made friends there. That's just off the cuff, my gut.
I mean, yeah, you'd be right. He doesn't make friends.
I know there are going to be a lot of people like, well, the left and they're pro EV and green and so on, but he hasn't made a lot of friends there. So I think that's an issue. That's my gut. I'm curious what Rick and Kara think.
I don't disagree with you. In fact, the thing that I would like to hear more about is, first of all, definite when these things are going to happen. But I want to know what's going on with Starlink. I want to know what's going on with his boring company. These are fantastic. To me, Starlink is probably a better opportunity than Tesla is as a car company or even a battery manufacturer. That to me is the upside. I mean, capturing an entire globe and giving the internet to places where it couldn't be before, that's huge.
I mean, yeah, just even look what they did with Starlink, in North Carolina when after the hurricane, move the satellites so that everyone could have internet there because there was no other internet
exactly
there.
So I think that the Tesla, the company itself is very
mute me,
very diversified, but like we talked about it, he's really got to deliver. It's one thing to romance the street as he does. He's very good at romancing, but when it's time for the date, he shows up with candy and flowers. It's not enough.
That's a great analogy there. Any thoughts, Kara?
Well, I was just thinking about the election and how it might impact Tesla. And Tesla's survived well under this current administration, even though their sales have slowed some. Clearly, he's a friend of Donald Trump's, so that should be beneficial to him. But I don't think that if Donald Trump loses, it's a terrible thing for Tesla. It might not be as good, but I don't think it's terrible.
All right. Jenny, before we talk about some other topics, Jenny asked what you guys think is next for Tesla after Robotaxi and Optimus come out in 1 to 5 years. Is there more upside after that?
Well, Elon Musk is somebody who is constantly working on new ideas. So I have to guess that once he's got a couple of these in the works, he's just going to keep coming up with more and more as long as he's around and the head of the company.
Can I be direct? If Optimus is real, if we start having robots and if the numbers are real that people are coming up with and they go one robot per person, you'll laugh that you ever asked that question because it'll be like the iPhone. There'll be like 2 decades of growth. We don't have to worry about the next idea. He's going to worry about production. It'll be like Tesla in the beginning. Can he make enough robots? So the last question I'd ask with respect is what's after that? Because that market's so big. And if he's right, he'll have enough issues just filling demand on that.
So you're saying the upside is just built into that idea.
Yeah.
That really comes to fruition.
If every human is going to have one, he thinks it'll be 2, then we're not worried about the next idea. We're worried about can they produce enough and that it'll be the most valuable company on the planet. If that all comes true, we will not be talking about what's next. We'll be like, that'll be a pathway of the next decade. I'll be way dead before his next idea. So let's figure out if that's a big enough market, Robotaxi's he doesn't have to address anything else right now. But he has energy and he has solar panels, et cetera, et cetera.
All right. She said she asked because she wonders if I should own it in my IRA. I won't be able to sell for 30 years. So long-term investment, good long-term investment, you guys think?
Such a great question. Here's what I'd say. I'd say it is completely speculative. You're buying a company that's valued as a tech company, that is valued as a company that's going to be dominant in the future. The downside in buying this in something where you can't sell is Wall Street is fickle. And if a decade from now, some of these promises don't get made or come to fruition, it'll be valued as a car company, and your downside will be 70 or 80%, literally. So I'm hesitant to say I like this for an IRA that I can't sell in. If I can sell, that's one thing. But a lot of tech companies go through ebbs and flows and slow down, but they're not in the same situation where they're going to be valued going from being a bona fide leader and tech company and innovator to a car company which trades at 5 to 7 times earnings. That's a lot of space in between. So if I'm not able to sell it, then I don't know if I own it. That's just my first thought. Now, if you can sell it within that 30-year period, if they decide it's just a car company, then it's fine because you're betting on the future and you have time. That's my earnest thought.
Jed asked long-term view, so kind of zooming out on overall electric vehicles, are they in general good for the ecosystem? If yes, EVs is the market to invest in for the next 5 to 10 years. I mean, we've seen some, the traditional automakers have not seen such success with the EVs as Tesla has seen.
Not a huge fan of the market. Like if someone said, do I want to spec bet on Rivian or something, I'd be like, okay. But as a sector as a whole, I see a million other sectors where I'd make a much bigger bet. If Tesla is different, I don't even think of it as, ooh, it's important to EV. So I'm not that bullish on the EV sector. I think we'll all go to EV over the next 20, 30 years, and certain companies and governments are mandating it. But we already see how it's already gone through a slowdown and it's in its infancy. It's not a must invest sector to me right now. It's not like a negative. It's just not the must invest sector to me. I see even AI with all the hype. I see so many verticals from, beyond computers to language and maybe more importantly, medicine, that if someone asked me that, I'd be like, I can make a case why there's certain companies that are not being valued that you can kind of think 10 years from now, you won't even be able to quantify what's going to happen. It feels like the internet versus EV, which feels important, but not to that degree. That's my gut.
I don't think EV is a lifestyle and a life changer at all. You see that's fallen short because the traditional auto companies who have tried to make an indentation in the EV market have come up short. Ford, Chevy, I mean, even Toyota decided they were going to stop manufacturing them till 2026. So that tells me the marketplace is not ready for it. And as an extension of that, it's not going to be a life changer because most people don't understand carbon footprint, let alone what pollution is, from the general combustion engine. So I don't think EV is going to be, if that's what they meant by ecosystem, I don't think that's going to be a changer.
All right. Another question about Tesla from Dave. He asked if you're concerned that Elon started an AI company, which was part of the ingrained value of Tesla. Will this diminish value to shareholders?
It's a good question. Basically, the fact that he's not willing to, the question, as I understand it, that it's not being included the way one would like as part of Tesla, and does it take away his energy? I would say one day it could be an issue, the same way we've seen in the past with Twitter in the beginning. It can be an issue one day. Am I concerned now? No, because I think he's become a pro at this. In the beginning, you could see him get lost, like, oh my God, he's too focused on fighting with someone on Twitter, and Tesla stock would go down in the beginning. But I think he's become a really good, he was obviously a great multitasker, but I think in public, he's now a good multitasker too. In public, he used to suck at tasking. He clearly was good. You can't make all these companies and have them successful and not be good, but in the public eye, he'd get like lost and fighting on Twitter and Tesla would go down. I think he's a lot better at it. So I wouldn't say it's an awful thing I'm worried about now, but ultimately you'd rather have, what is it called? His big AI computer, whatever the hell it's called. Yeah. You'd rather have it be part of Tesla than not part of Tesla. because it can be very, very important and take away his time one day.
Mm-hmm.
You mean Grok? Is that what it is?
No, Grok's part of Twitter.
No, you mean Optimus, right?
Yeah. Is that Optimus? Yeah.
Or that's the AI robot. Yeah.
Right.
Joe wants to know if you think this event will affect Mobileye's stock price.
Not really. I heard someone say that on Twitter. I don't really think it affects Mobileye that much.
All right. Let's somebody when we started way back, 45 minutes ago asked what the heck happened with AMD today. So let's talk about what happened with AMD. Oh my goodness. There we go. Let's talk about, so they unveiled a new AI chip called the Instinct MI325X. This is to compete with NVIDIA's Blackwell chip. We all know NVIDIA is the big leader on the AI chip space. AMD says they're going to start production on this before the end of this year. Lisa Su said AI demand has actually continued to take off and actually exceed expectations. It's clear that the rate of investment is continuing to grow everywhere. When we take a look at what happened with the stock today, you can see highs of the day right when the event started at 12 Eastern, and then just crap the bed after the event started and post-event into the close. So what happened today, David? Kira, Rick?
I'll give you my 2 cents and I'll make mine quick. The stock was 120 about 2 months ago, and it was 130 about 5-6 weeks ago. I bought the stock 2 weeks ago at 154. It went to 170. Basically, however you want to look at it, it either went up 50, 40, or just recently 30, and was a really tough setup, which I put it on Twitter. I said, I've sold most of my stock because it's been a huge win and the pressure is on, and it might potentially be the classic sell the news. Guess what? She said some good stuff. Total addressable market's higher, but she had to do one thing. She had one shot to have the stock go up. Go up tomorrow, but the real thing she had to do to make it not be a sell the news event was up guidance, and she didn't do that. Maybe she'll do it on the call, but that's what investors needed to hear after a 50-point move off lows from 2 months ago. And I just think it was a classic sell the news event. And I was actually shocked. I mean, not because you're supposed to listen to me, but I wrote ahead on Twitter, hey, I'm selling most of my AMD because it feels a tough event since the stock just ripped. I'm shocked how many people have not gotten used to this. I mean, stocks go up into events. Turns out the event's just fine. Everything's great. And the stock still goes down. It's just common sell the news. I did not see anything negative that I'm worried about. I have a friend who's very good with news who thought when she mentioned the TAM for 2028, it wasn't quite as big as the street had hoped. My thought is they sold the news. And if it recaptures these losses over the next couple of weeks pre-earnings, I wouldn't be shocked. Now I'm going to shut up. What's your guys' thought?
Well, I agree. We see this kind of thing happen all the time. Stocks run up into some event and then they sell off. And the best example of that recently is the China stocks. They were all running, and China was closed for a few days. Things continued to go up in anticipation of the Chinese market opening with all the stimulus. And as soon as it opened, everything sold off, 10% or something? It was a lot. Big drop.
The largest down day for China. Yeah.
Right. Rick and some of the other people in the room had some puts. We sold most of our longs the day before that sell-off because we anticipated there would be a sell the news event. So it's just another example of the same thing happening.
Yeah, China was actually, and David pointed it out, even as we were going up, well, when they come back from vacation, it'll probably sell off a little bit. Another understatement of the year. But we've seen it so many times when earnings, and I don't care if it's tech or not, good, but not good enough, given where the market's been. Doesn't mean it won't come back, absolutely not. But you have to be aware of this as a trader. If I'm putting stuff into my IRA, it's different. But I promise you, I don't have Tesla in my IRA. I have stocks that pay dividends and are reinvested, but I'm a little bit older than most. So when my retirement plan hits, that's how I'm playing it. But if you're not paying attention to the price action, then you're going to be lost as a trader.
So bottom line, sell the news events are common. We just saw it with China. We see it all the time.
And I think we're going to see it again tonight.
While we're on AMD and the topic of semiconductors, we've gotten 2 questions on LRCX. So Christina said, what are David and the team's thoughts on LRCX? It's hugging the 325 daily moving average and tends to follow a micron, which is up big today. And then Tom also, do you like LRCX here? Another semi name.
Tom Sosnoff. I love this guy. He's from Tasty Trade.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, real brilliant guy. Hi, Tom.
Mhm.
Wait, is that the guy with the hat?
Yeah, it's the guy
Yep.
with the
Oh,
hat.
I like you. You have a great personality. I always enjoy watching you. I'm taking a look
Mhm.
at the chart 1 second. Rick, why don't you answer LRC? Have you looked at the chart on it?
I have. I
LRCX.
like the chart. And will I buy it here? No. Just like
So
anything
here's what
else.
I'm thinking, right?
Yeah, go ahead.
I've been trading semis for 30 years, right? This is one of the best in breed. It's not AMAT, it's not KLA, right? Like KLA, AMAT, it's not even Broadcom, but it has a place and it's important. Kira and I talked today. You know how all the traders are like chasing Shaq on the breakout, or they're chasing Kava on the breakout. Different sector, but the concept's the same. They keep winning. The stocks that are working right now are, do you see what Snowflake just did, where it broke out and changed the downtrend, or what Micron did today? Lam Research didn't have a great quarter. It was one of the few that had a crappy quarter. It's underperformed semis. You know, we just saw NVIDIA 5 points from all-time highs. So this one I haven't looked at. It's a good idea for a catch-up play because it's an old school name. It's not egregious in terms of being expensive, and it certainly lagged the space. So I could see this playing catch-up, and I see how it's above all the averages that are bunched together. And I actually like the idea. Makes a lot of sense to me. Yeah.
A weekly close above 88 will get you back to 100.
I totally see what's going on here. Because the market likes, I just want to point out how obvious the catch-up play is right now. Look at Adobe, which is we had a big bounce, right? Software led, but look at what just happened to Adobe up 9. Look at what just happened to Snowflake. Look at what just happened to Micron. You might notice it's a lot of stocks that haven't been doing so great. Look at what MDB did today off of a strong note, up 16. So Lam fits that. Like, what is actually lagging that's a halfway decent company where the chart works? This one works.
And you've got all these inside days recently, so it's in a really quite a tight range.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
I like it.
All right, great. We got an idea that everyone likes. All right, today was just a busy day. We had, of course, the AMD AI event this morning, way back this morning. We started with a hot CPI and a weakening labor market. So the September CPI came in hotter than expected on both the headline and the core readings. And then we also got weekly jobless claims that totaled 258,000, which was the highest total since August 5th of 2023. These are, of course, numbers that the Fed doesn't want to see, a hot CPI and a weaker than expected labor market. David, of course, I know you can opine a lot on the economic picture and what it means for the Fed and for the market. What was your response to these numbers that came out this morning?
My response was small cap's going to suck today, and if you're focused there, you're going to get hurt today. There's nothing here that helps small cap land, right? We've just, granted, the jobs market slowed down a little bit prior to today, but overall, it didn't implode. And now we want to make sure on top of it, it's kind of equal. Jobs market can implode, but we don't want to see it be too strong. And inflation has to be somewhat under control because the odds of 50 basis point cuts have gone away. Now it's down to 70% prior to the number today on the 25 basis point cut. So I said, if you get anything that's even a tad bit hot, it's an issue for small caps. So I said, stay away. And sure enough, IWM was ugly all day, and it really needs some good news. It'll probably find some friends by the end of the year. But my basic answer was they're going to stick with big cap tech and, companies that can do just fine, even if we don't get as many rate cuts as the market would hope. And that means not IWM. So eventually they'll come forward probably, but that was my immediate response. Oops, this isn't going to be helpful to small caps.
Yeah. Anything to add, Kira and Rick, on the economic numbers we got today?
I thought it was interesting that we sold off on the numbers, but we actually held in pretty well today. If you look at the overall market, held up pretty well. Could have sold off much harder. And so I'm always watching immediately after the number comes out to just see how the futures respond, how the SPY and Qs respond. And I kind of go from there because that just gives me the information that I need. Anyway, it was an interesting day, but like David said, small caps did not do well today. Biotech's kind of picked up at the end of the day. So we'll see if there's any sort of follow through on that, if it gains a little strength this month or into the end of the year. That's something we've been watching really closely.
We noticed, we were talking about the end of the day, how there's so much rotation, and I don't mean monthly, like daily and weekly,
Daily,
that there's not much downside. So today software continued a 3-4 day run, right? That was extraordinary. And NVIDIA, after dipping, was back up, and there was plenty to buy. And then maybe if software takes a break tomorrow and semis don't do as well, all of a sudden the financials are going to, do okay. And today they underperformed. It's been constant rotation, which keeps the broad market from ever pulling back too much.
Do you feel like that makes this a hard market though to get a read on? Because it's like you can't pick a long-term leader. You have the, a little focus here and a little, it's China for a few days and it's software for a few days.
There's still
make it harder
that make highs. So out of fairness within that, you could have bought a Kava if you like fast casual in the 110, 115 area, and it just makes new highs whenever it is in fashion. Maybe it takes a day off, right? You could have bought NVIDIA. I mean, God knows I did at 97, 91, 101, and then recently, even 2 weeks ago, 115s, and here we are at 135. So yes, if you're a trend trader that needs your stocks to go up every single day, sure. But if you're a real trader who understands that your stocks can't go up every day when you're swinging, right? It's not that hard if you're buying the right stocks, like APP. Anyone who bought that over the past few months, I mean, it takes a day off and then it goes up 10 points, takes 2 days off and then goes up another 10. So if you're in the right stocks, it's not that hard.
The only thing that really makes it difficult is that we don't get any good sell-offs to have really clear low risk entry points.
That's the problem.
Not getting great buys, the best buy spot.
Yeah, when you find those, like we got into Lilly the last time down 865, and it looked horrible there, but it was a double bottom and it held. It traded 860 and then boom, and now it's 920. So I like to watch stocks like this. It's not what we trade generally, but these guys will tell you that the room has made a lot of money in Lilly.
Huge. I think the point is, like, when one of the special names that has led for so long gives you that pullback, we've now learned they're so rare. That's your spot to get aggressive.
Yeah.
Because we just don't get a lot of them. So when they come, you cannot waste them.
A comment from YouTube said you can use money management to make up for shallow dips. Do you guys agree with that?
No, I couldn't disagree more. What I do is I do less. I wait for those areas and I get aggressive when they come. So I'm one that believes you do less, not use money management or gimmicks or sell calls or sell some puts. You actually, like we did when NVIDIA was basing at 115 recently, and you say, listen, this is the tightest it's been for 7 days. If it breaks out of this range, it can pop to 124 in a straight line. You buy it, and you buy it in size, and you buy calls like we did, and you make real money. Or when everyone's panicking, right, and the stock's 97, 91, you buy it in size. Or when a firm pulls back, which was one of my leading plays, from 48 to 38, you don't wait around and say, well, it doesn't look perfect and maybe it'll go to 36. You buy it. So my thought is, I really believe money management is about doing less of the stuff this fellow suggested and more of waiting, and when they do enough. That's what when I try and be cute and do too much, I just miss a lot. Like Baba has been a godsend. Baba is my supermodel. And all I've done is traded Baba every day, and I've been long it every day for 2 weeks. That's enough for me. And if there's not a lot of ideas, okay, Baba was enough. So I believe less management and more management when the ideas come. Sorry, but I couldn't feel my thought process is so different from that fellow's.
Yeah.
One of the misnomers I think that we or the traders have in general is you have to make money every day. And while that would be great, it's so much easier to wait for your pitch and see where you're going to buy an NVIDIA or you're going to buy a BABA. Like NVIDIA on the breakout above 115. It was one of the bigger days I had this year. And it wasn't because I knew the level, I did, but it's because that's where our focus was and that's where our plan was. Today, there were some cute trades involved, but it wasn't a grand slam. If you make, and David says it's a lot in the chat, and I believe it too, otherwise I wouldn't be saying it here. If you can focus and have one or two great trades a week or a month, then you don't have to make money every day. You can enjoy your life and get away from the screen.
All right. Before we go, Benny had a follow-up on the Lamb Research trade, and he wanted to know how you would play it for a move up.
Stock or options, I'm probably 70-80% stock. But if I was, say, someone who is risk averse, I simply look at that 21 day, which has been rising at 79, and say, you know what, if I'm right, and I'm not even a big stop out guy, but I'd leave myself room and say if it closes 1 or 2 days or even 1 or 2 points beneath 79, I was wrong. I'd say I'd give myself room to 79 and look for 90 as my first big target. And if it can break above that, you got a real breakout to, $100 or more. That's how I play it.
And I don't think there's anything wrong with options. I just checked the IV in Lamb, and it's very low. Yeah. So if
I check when earnings are, that sort of thing, because
right.
I assume they report the end of the month or next month. But that's probably what I do is, want to see the stock hold above that 79 area.
Okay. And then if you guys have any thoughts on ENVX and PayPal.
Why don't one of you do PayPal? I'll do ENVX. ENVX is the ultimate story stock. If it comes true, it's like the cheapest petting. I got so many dogs around me. It's one of the cheapest stocks in the world. But there's 5% odds that it's true. But if it is, oh my God. Very often the stock becomes in vogue. We buy it. I've made well over 100% on the stock a few times. Right now, I'm not in it. I'm a little frustrated because it went in motion and I missed it. Today, I see it pull back. I didn't even see that. I guess small cap sold off. This sold off. I think it is a bona fide great spec stock. It's nothing I ever focus on. You have to treat it as a spec stock. There's some people that make it their whole life. This stock doesn't care about what the market does. So if you start focusing on this, I'm just saying for smaller accounts, and like you miss what's going on in the market, that's like a bozo awful idea. This is like, okay, it's a fun spec stock with a great story. It might go to 50 and it might go to 2. And don't make it like the focus of your life. That's how I view it. Because we don't know when it's going to come true, even if it does. Even if everyone's right, it may not happen for 5 years, and the amount of opportunity cost with you staring at the stock every day is tough. So that's how I think that fun story stock, maybe it works.
PayPal had been a laggard for a long time, languished in the 60s. It finally traded above 75 and then took off right here, coming down from, I think the high today was 80. Yeah, it was 80.
Caught a downgrade.
Right. And at 82 was the 52-week high. I'm not interested until it gets back to the mid 70s. Okay. For a trade. And again, it's not going to be a focus for me. It's just not anything I focus on.
PayPal wouldn't be a focus for me either. I mean, it's literally up 30% off the most recent low, and it's not done. I mean, it's based for so long. It's been so low for so long. You might see continued upside, but it's certainly not a leader in its industry or anything.
It's a turnaround, new CEO, and everyone's hoping it works. And so far, it's going in the right direction, but I think a lot of the money might have been made.
All right. What about Zscaler?
Your name's Trading God. You already know the answer. Why are they asking us?
Zscaler I've been talking to one of our members, and this member has a very large position in Zscaler. And it held the 170 level, which I I told the member that said if it breaks 170, you really should be concerned. And it didn't, so it's held. But would I buy it up here? No.
This
All
has
right.
been a monster 3-day move. It's awesome, but it's probably going to run into resistance like it did the last time right here. So if I owned it, I would say, great job. Let me trim some. Last quarter also was some of the worst guidance in a while. Some people think that we're just being overly conservative and they're under promising and they will over deliver, but everything is not perfect there in terms of their last report. So if I bought this 160, 170, 180, I would be trimming some if it was me, because it's right into the moving average.
Yeah, I'd be trimming a lot if it were me. A lot.
Right into the 200-day. I get it. It's above, but I wouldn't be chasing it.
Talk about one that's up. Celsius. Somebody wants to talk about Celsius holding CELH up 14% today. Any thoughts there?
I can see before Jake mentioned it on Twitter, and then I mentioned it on Twitter, and I think we got a few people excited, and then there was some news from some conference. I basically said on the chat and to people, hey, at 30, I bought it for my kid because I'm teaching about investing and he drinks Celsius from time to time. So I'm like, this will be a good one. I think it's a solid investment at 30, 32. It's a broken chart. I'm not talking today, prior to today. And I think so much bad news is built into it. I can conceivably see they turn things around, sales ramp up again. I get it. There's a slowdown. People worry. Does it cause cancer? Blah, blah, blah. I said, it seems like a worse is price in. It's an okay investment here. A trader? Who the hell knows? It's so broken. So that's what I said. All of a sudden, it lit up like a Christmas tree. And where did we close today? At 35?
35, yeah.
$5, yeah.
I wouldn't buy it here. If it pulled back a couple dollars, I'd buy it. But they're challenged fundamentally, right? They have some issues. It wasn't like it just went down off nothing. The sales have been slowing, but I would assume if it sat here forever, it's either taken out or they turn things around and the stock goes up on its own. But I'd be a buyer at like 32, 33. I wouldn't chase this 5-point move.
It closed right at, this is great, it closed right at the 8 MA on the weekly. So we're into resistance here.
Yeah, for sure. All right, Trade God, David, wants you to talk about CrowdStrike as well.
I will quote myself. This is a basic one. When it was 250, I said, listen, I said the bottom's in that actually I might have said this at 240 to be fair. Didn't say it at 200. But I said the bottom's in. And if you don't care about 5 or 10 points, just buy the stock. The bottom's in. And at some point in the next few months, you'll see it at 300 again. Now we're there. It's not a buy. Now it's going to ebb and flow and be about quarters. The worst is behind them. They're not losing all their clients. They're not even losing that many clients. When they gave guidance, people were shocked it wasn't worse than it was. So turns out the world's not over for them, but the stock price represents that. So I wouldn't be buying it here. I'd wait for a pretty decent pullback. But we were on it. A lot of people on our chat were long it. I was long it. I sold way too early and didn't stick with it. But right here, I wouldn't go out and buy it. But I remember 240, 250. I said the bottom's in. I don't know if it's going up 10 or down 10, but it's not making new lows and it's probably going back to 300. Now we're here. I wouldn't be buying it.
All right, we're getting lots of questions here. We're running out of time. I have one I want to end with because I think it'll be a really great finale here, but we'll do 2 more and then the ender. ZI, finally with this cash flow, is it worth looking at?
One of you guys answer. I haven't traded that in a while.
I haven't looked at it in a long time. It's come up a couple dollars off lows. I mean, the lows were under $8. It's now close to 10, but chart wise, I don't like the looks of it. It doesn't
like a broken stock. It used to be a leader.
Yeah, it doesn't look good at all to me.
Zoom info, right?
Yeah, it hit a low of 778 in August, and it is not like it's flown. And right now, it's still below the 21-day. So for me, I wouldn't play it. There's better opportunities.
Can I be honest? Whoever this person is, I'd rather marry one of Rick's ex-wives, and they did not go well. I mean, that's why he's got so many of them.
All right.
It's like a death trap.
That didn't take
We're
long.
a no on ZI. We're a no on ZI. All right. MicroStrategy. Thoughts on MicroStrategy? We've
been very bullish. Michael Saylor's my hero. I've lucky enough to meet the guy a few times, and he's just such a bright man. Awkward, and unusual, but such a bright man. So we were all over it. 120s. I was talking about it today. Like a bozo, I think I took profits at 144. So at 183,
Yeah.
I'm a little bummed out. But long story short, what the man is doing is he's borrowing money for free. And then he's putting it into an asset and he's making a bloody fortune on it, and it's working. There is high risk, right? If you ever go through a protracted bear market in Bitcoin, this will be down way more than your normal asset. But I'm going to always back the top jockey. He's the top jockey. When you can borrow money and arbitrage capital the way he is, it's a home run. The stock has already been up huge. I said yesterday when someone said, is it a buy? I said, no, it's probably a cute short now. So I wouldn't be buying it now. I'd let it pull back 10, 15.
You know, it's another one of those charts that has been in a range, looks like it's about to break out, and it failed right at the breakout point, close to 200 again. So, I mean, failed. It's down only $20 from there, but it's just.
It also is off lows. Like it failed there, and yet someone bought it and made 60 points or pre-split 600 points. So it's done well the last few months. It probably needs a rest. Just my 2 cents.
All right. Would you buy Shaq?
That's Kira, right?
Well, that's kind of funny you ask, because I did buy some Shake Shack. I bought calls yesterday. It looked like it was another one of those formations that's, you know, bumping up against resistance. Looks like it's about to break out and run, but it's at highs, not all-time highs, but it's higher than it's been in quite a while, and it failed. It failed and sold back off today. So I consider it a failed breakout, and you can see all those hairs on the top of the candlesticks. It does this a lot. So I took the opportunity when it ran up today, the second time, to get flat on my calls. It didn't feel good. I didn't want to be in it, and I just got out. So I
think closer to 100, it's a buy. Up here, no.
Okay, Brent, I didn't skip your question because it wasn't good. I just missed it.
Oh, dude, that's my friend. If he said that, oh no, it's a different brand. Because I was like, that dude's funny. Okay.
He said Starlink is part of SpaceX, which is a separate privately held company. Is Tesla stock getting credit for Starlink and SpaceX when it shouldn't economically? You know,
if it was,
Tesla is the only trading vehicle for Elon. I think
let's stop here. Right. If he was getting credit for SpaceX is doing some stuff our government keeps messing up. Starlink's a rock star, right? And very valuable. And in the private market, you can buy a piece of it. The answer is positively 1,010% zero. If it was, the stock would be 350, 400. Now, is the man himself, is he getting credit for it? And does the stock always get a premium because of it? Yes. But I promise you, they are not getting the valuation of those companies, or else the stock would be much higher. Because some of those companies are killing it right now, like Starlink.
All right. I'm going to do 2 more names, and then we're going to let you all go.
Dude, we gotta get paid for this.
I think we should double our fee, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. All right. CRM. Monthly time frame looks good.
Dude, this trading god, I say you charge him. If we charge him $9.99 per question, I could retire by tomorrow.
Wow.
What do you guys? You want to answer? Who wants to answer?
I mean, CRM, it's another name. It's come up a long way from lows, almost $50 off lows. It's not something I would want to buy here just because it's gone up so much. I would want to see a pullback.
We played it, though, out of fairness. It was 2-3 weeks ago. I'd say half the chat kept it, half the chat sold it. There was a very specific breakout point at 270. And there were a few big upgrades, and they did have a decent earnings call and guidance last quarter. So 270 was a great breakout spot. Like Kira said, it's 20 points higher now. I'm not in a rush to buy CRM here, but it's not something we ignored. It's just, it already moved.
We actually had the stock, and I had calls, and I remember when it failed a breakout, we dumped the stock, the 3 of us. And it was like, oh, all right, 268, it didn't work, and we'll move on. Because my calls were for the next week, I kept them, and that turned out to be a very nice profit. But trading the stock then was not good.
I think what he's saying is it went up 20, he held the calls, and he got paid, but it wasn't fluid for a day.
Yeah.
So we got out of the stock. Yeah.
Okay. Everyone who's submitting questions, sorry, you're gonna have to come back to our next event. There's lots of
Or
questions,
start
but I want to
charging
end.
them.
I want to end here, or you can join the inner circle, t3live.com/GP to apply, and you can ask your questions there if you could be in the room. Thoughts on immunome? Somebody asked.
Well,
Sure.
David's going to have to answer
Let's end
that.
here.
Never heard of it. So there's this fellow named Clay Segal. He founded Seagen, which was sold to Pfizer for $42 billion. He's now the CEO. Clay is not a guy that cares where the stock price is today. He's a guy that really, this is his baby. This is it. It's not like he's not Elon Musk with 40 different other companies. And he has a lot of stock. And by the way, out of fairness, one of my partners on the board loved the stock. I mean, we don't share information. And I love this company. And I love Clay. I love backing home run hitters. It worked amazing for us. We were very aggressive at 7, sold some at 20, sold some 25, and a lot at 30. We honestly, up to 30, it was crazy because it was early. We sized down. Recently, between, say, 13 and 11, we keep buying it. And every time it goes to 16, what I say to those who are short-term minded, trim some. Stocks like this that are undiscovered can do nothing for months at a time, and then all of a sudden they go. Here's the bona fide facts I can tell you. One of the most important men in the history of biotech is the CEO. Not only is he the CEO, he chose to buy 100,000 more shares in the 13s. Not only did he choose to buy 100,000 more shares in the 13s. Here, let's try this because of the dogs. 1 second. But, 1 second. Mute me for a second.
Well, David, I'll just say every time this happens in an event, we have a great next day. So, David, maybe this is just a sign that tomorrow's going to be a great trading day.
All right, wait, ready? Here we go.
Yeah.
Good. Okay, so great. So we'll try this. So now you have a board behind them. You have every top, like you name it. If he wants to get a major pharmaceutical company on the phone, he does, right? This is Clay. He can call any company. So the future for them is so bright, it's not even funny. But here's what I tell people. If you're managing sizable money and you want the potential to be up 2, 3, 4x with a home run hitter that's building one of the most important ADC portfolios out there, that's a proven entity, it's a no-brainer. If you care about where the stock goes in the next 4 weeks, don't even look at it because there's no rhyme or reason. And I said that the last time we sized up at 7, and then in 3 months it went to 30. I'm saying it again. It might be 25 by, say, January. I won't tell you I said so because you really have to look at this stock as a 12-month investment. But everything he said he'd do, he's already doing and more. 2 great acquisitions, ADC portfolio, insider buying, endless cash, and friends with every major biotech institution. All right, why don't we mute me because these dogs are crazy.
All right. The dogs want David's attention. People like your mic. People like your mic, David. I think it's pretty cool looking. All right. Okay. So we'll let you guys go. If you guys, though, all the people that are with us, this is a really great stream here, really great audience. But you look at these from the chat. My trading life changed after I discovered DP. Made a lot of money today. Thank you, DP. Congrats to whoever thought of the FXI puts. I mean, lots of really great ideas in the room lately. This is just a screenshot from the other day. But if you guys would like to apply to join, you can go to t3live.com/DP. There's, of course, there are some requirements to join the inner circle. So you can apply and see if you do qualify. Amber, our sales girl, is so fast to get back to people who apply. So if you apply today, you could be in the room tomorrow morning to be trading the Tesla response if you qualify. So again, Tesla Robotaxi event is coming up in just over an hour. So we're catching up to the event here. Everyone have a great night. Good luck with Tesla tomorrow. David, I know you're traveling, so good luck in Vegas.
Vegas, the event. Anyone who's in Vegas, if you're going to be at the Traders for a Cause event, say hello.
Yes, say hello. All right, everyone have a great rest of your night and good luck tomorrow with Tesla.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Good night.
Bye.